I'll talk about system of story if you like. I mean, and what I would say is that I would talk about, let's call them closed and open loop stories, because I can
Okay.
say what I mean by that is a closed loop story is what we would think of as a story. It has a beginning, middle, and an end, and
Yeah.
it sits in by itself there. It's like a little jewel that you've created. And interestingly, I love them. We all love them. It's why we sit in front of Netflix and sort of watch things. We love those stories. But
Yeah.
the interesting thing is in business, you get very little opportunity to tell those stories unless you have been given a platform and a presentation or a pitch or something like that, where people have said, we want 20 minutes from you, off you go. And within that 20 minutes, I'm always encouraging people to sort of like find one or two good stories which are going to bring it out, and those will be the closed
Yeah.
loop stories. But the elements of story are things like time, place, character, a clear point, some close-up moments, maybe some dialogue, things like that, the problems that are overcome. Those are
Yeah.
the little, the little bits of gold dust that sit within a story that make people's brains light up,
Yeah.
which people can use within conversation, and sort of say, do you know, I was talking to Chris last week and he said to me such and such, and oh yeah, I was in my back office talking to Chris, and somebody say, oh really, how is he? He's really well. You know, you've lit people's brain up because you're talking about a character and a place and a time. And I,
Yeah.
I think in business we do it all the time. We wouldn't have any friends if we didn't. But I mean, we do it at the pub. I think there's something about people walking into an office that makes them forget that they're allowed to do that.
Yeah.
So in terms of the process of storytelling, it's about finding the elements of story, and then what does a story look like, which is well, I can talk about that more. I mean, it's very simply, if you like. I mean, it's
I don't know.
go on.
What was the open loop?
The open loop is the elements of story. The things that the open loop is
Oh, okay.
is during a conversation. It's like the cliffhanger where you use the elements of story, which includes time, place, character, conversation,
Right.
problems, that sort of thing. So and you might, in a conversation, you might get, what, I had an amazing conversation with Chris last week, on Zoom. I was, it's absolutely fantastic. What a great guy. End of. Not a story, but
Yeah.
but people will have seen a Chris. They know what Zoom looks like, and so their brain is starting to fire, and they go, "Oh, really? What happened?"
Oh, I
Well,
see.
he
I
asked
see.
me.
Okay.
That's what
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is. So it becomes that's the open loop where it's how we have conversations essentially.